What punctuation does my sentence need? This poster will show you how to use all 8 of these pieces of punctuation correctly in a sentence. It is a flowchart, which means it follows a process. You need to start here and you follow the arrows just depending on what you need in your text. Starting here, my sentence starts with a capital letter. Make sure it's got a capital at the start. My sentence ends with a full stop, an exclamation mark, a question mark, or ellipsis. These are the 4 different ways to end a sentence. Full stop stops a standard sentence, question mark ends a question, exclamation mark when you need that read with emphasis, an ellipsis when that's when the sentence is dragged off, often around characters thinking. The other one there is a hyphen, can end a sentence as an interrupting hyphen, but that's generally in dialogue, so apart from this. After your sentence has a start and an end, when I read my sentence aloud, do I pause? If you don't pause when you read your sentence aloud, no more punctuation is actually needed. You have your start, you have your end. If you don't pause, no more punctuation is actually needed in that sentence. If you do pause, you need to do this check. In your sentence, can you see 2 independent, which means standalone, sentences or clauses? In that sentence, can you break that up into 2 parts that make sense by themselves? Check if they make sense by themselves. Would they make sense if said by themselves? If they don't make sense by themselves, then it's going to be a colon. I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec. Put a colon where you pause. That's often around things like lists. Don't make sense by themselves, so we have a colon for those. If you can see 2 standalone sentences, if your answer is yes here, then you need to look for a connective. Look around where you pause in that sentence for a connective, or you might actually find a connective opener at the start. You can use our pink VCOP wall to look for these connectives and connective openers. Have a look and see if you can see a connective. If you can't see a connective, that means there's going to be a semicolon. Semicolon takes the place of that connective. Okay, so your semicolon there is the reason you can't see a connective, because that semicolon will take the place. If you're reading through and you find a connective, if you read through the sentence that you're pausing in and you find a connective in there, then you need to put a comma before the connective. Generally, the only exception to that is and, depending obviously on how you want your sentence read. If you find a connective opener, don't put a comma before it. There should already be a full stop before it. Just look for where you pause in that sentence and put a comma there. If it has a connective opener, that sentence will generally have a comma in there. Let's have a look at what these each look like on a piece of writing. Let's edit my first sentence here. Last weekend, I had the best adventure of all time. Now with that, first of all, my sentence starts with a capital letter. I need to make sure that is a capital letter. I'm just doing that in green pen simply because, a green pen that doesn't work, simply because that's going to be our even better if. Also, okay, so that's done, sorry. My sentence starts with a capital letter. Done. My sentence ends with a full stop, question mark, exclamation mark, or ellipsis. I'm just going to end that one in a full stop. Okay. Going through, I can see I've actually got a comma in there. All right. So I will pause when I read my sentence out, and I've actually put that comma in already. On my next sentence, the best part, catching a massive fish. Okay, with that sentence, the best part, catching a massive fish. When I'm reading that sentence, I can see it's got a capital letter at the start. My sentence ends with a full stop. Yes, it does. When I read my sentence aloud, do I pause? The best part, catching a massive fish. So yeah, I do pause when I read that. In your sentence, can you see 2 independent sentences or clauses, two parts that stand alone by themselves? The best part, catching a massive fish. Now, catching a massive fish doesn't make sense by itself. Honestly, neither does the best part. That doesn't tell me anything about the best part. There's no verb in that sentence. There is a verb in this sentence, but it actually doesn't tell me who's catching. Catching a massive fish doesn't make sense by itself. So for this, in your sentence, can you see 2 independent sentences or clauses? No, I can't. So I'm going to use a colon there. I'm going to think where I pause. The best part, catching a massive fish. I pause here, so that means the colon goes there. That sentence is now done. No more punctuation is needed on that. Next sentence. The beautiful lake was calm. The boat hardly rocked at all. Sentence. Does it start with a capital letter? Yes. Does it end with a full stop or exclamation mark, question mark, or ellipsis? Yes. When I read my sentence aloud, do I pause? The beautiful lake was calm. The boat hardly rocked at all. Oh, I do pause when I read that. In your sentence, can you see two independent sentences? Two sentences that make sense. Now I pause. The beautiful lake was calm. I pause there. The beautiful lake was calm. Yeah, that makes sense by itself. The boat hardly rocked at all. Yes, that makes sense by itself. Two sentences that tell us something. So yes, I can see two independent sentences. Can you see a connective or a connective opener? Now, I pause there and I actually can't see a connective there. The and calm are never connectives. Also, at the start of the sentence, it's just the. So that's not a connective opener. So no, I can't see a connective or a connective opener. No. So I actually need to put a semicolon there. I pause here, so I put the semicolon there. That semicolon, as a lot of semicolons do, just takes the place of a connective. Think about the connective which means in that sentence. The beautiful lake was calm, which means the boat hardly rocked at all. That semicolon often replaces which means. I've actually shown that in the next sentence. The beautiful lake was calm, which meant the boat hardly rocked at all. Now, does the sentence start with a capital letter? Yes. Does it end with a full stop, exclamation mark, question mark, or ellipsis? Yes. When I read my sentence aloud, do I pause? The beautiful lake was calm, which meant the boat hardly rocked at all. Yeah, I do pause. I pause here. So yes, I do pause. In your sentence, can you see two independent sentences that make sense by themselves? Now I pause here. The beautiful lake was calm. That makes sense by itself. Which meant the boat hardly rocked at all. Now, I'm actually suspecting that which meant could be the opener. So we need to actually check if it makes sense before... not opener, connective. I'll check if that makes sense before and after that connective. The beautiful lake was calm. Yeah, that makes sense. The boat hardly rocked at all. Yes, that makes sense too. So yes, two standalone sentences. Can you see a connective or a connective opener? I can't see a connective opener. Again, this sentence just starts with the, but that which meant is a connective there. So yes, I can see a connective. Put a comma before the connective. So I'm just going to go before that which means, which meant, and I'm going to put a comma there. Last one. This sentence. We used shrimp for bait so that we could catch the best fish. Sentence starts with a capital letter. Yes. Sentence ends with a full stop, exclamation mark, question mark, or ellipsis. Yes. When I read my sentence aloud, do I pause? We use shrimp for bait so that we could catch the best fish. Yeah, I do. I pause there when I'm reading that. Yes. In your sentence, can you see two independent sentences or clauses? We used shrimp for bait. Yes, that makes sense. We could catch the best fish. That makes sense as well. So yes. Can you see a connective or a connective opener? Now I can't see a connective opener that starts with we, but in that I know that so can be a connective, and it's in this sentence it's not just so that's the connective, it's so that. So that is the connective there. So yes. Put a comma before the connective. Comma where I pause. That's before the connective. That's how this poster, this flowchart is used within writing. Have a go at trying to use every single one of these pieces of punctuation to make your reader have a variety of punctuation in their reading.